especially if you're going to be going to the point of telling all these standalone movies about all these different characters and expanding the size of the galaxy. I'm not a fan of this, like keeping it in the within these 30, 20 years, with all the things that are coming out. Apparently, it's just all within this like small, tight space. Boba Fett movie now, so it's like everything is like literally only the Empire and Rebels, which is fine. It's just we all want more than that. So
it's gonna lose all the space really quick. We're gonna
it's gonna. Yeah. I mean, well, it's like they already did all these freaking comics. It's like they introduced this character at the end of this movie, and it's like, okay, well, too bad you already told like most of his story in the comics.
Or
it's like
in Rebels and Rogue One.
Yeah.
But that's probably why they're bringing him back too.
Well, it's like, but that brings me to my other big beef. That brings me to my beef with Lucasfilm in general, and this is just my 2 cents. I'm going to have a 2-second rant. They have this thing where they've always got to show the person until they die, and then we're going to tell their story. So it's like, let's kill them off first, and then we're going to show their story afterwards. So it's like, we already know how this person died. We already know what happens to him. And it's like, okay, do I really want to go back again? It's just, anyway, my opinion, I love the idea of just making things slightly more chronological and having events happen as they come, so you actually see the person's demise. You see it all the way up to it, as opposed to seeing them die and then telling their story afterwards. And that's the thing. I mean, it's what George Lucas started doing, and I get it. That's what he started doing, but I'm not a fan of like every single story being that way. Like,
well, it's almost
let's
like
watch.
It's almost like the screenplays or the audiobooks, or like Ron was talking about. Hey man, when you go back and listen to the Last Jedi audiobook and stuff, they expand on it so much more, and it's so much better because they go into these parts, and that may be cool, but I always just think that's pretty cheeseball.
It's lame.
You've already seen the movie, and then it's like, let's go back and expand on it so it actually makes sense, or it actually is
right.
cool. And if it made sense, they would have made sense the first damn time around.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was my little rant about it. I think I would love to see some forward storytelling and some forward thinking rather than show the end and then backtrack. Okay. That's anyway.
So who's alive? So
speaking of showing the end and then backtrack, we already saw this person die in Rebels, and now we see him at the end of this movie. Sorry, Alex, you get to.
Darth Maul. Man, when it first pulled up, and I really thought it was gonna be Jabba. I really thought when it pulled up the hologram and like the way the camera angle, like you knew it was like a bigger figure. Like it almost made it look like it was gonna be Jabba, because it was almost at first the cloak, so it had like his shape of the head, and it's like the way the camera was moving in. You're like, oh, who is it? But then like you hear the first line, and you're like, oh, that's not Jabba. Wait, and because it was Sam Witwer.
It was Sam
Witwer. We watched the credit, but Rey was Maul. Because man, when his face popped up, you were like, that's Maul. Like that's Phantom Menace Maul. Because I don't know, after seeing Clone Wars and Rebels, I don't know, they made him look different. They slimmed down his face. Like it's almost like a different Maul. But no, it's like, oh, menacing big Buffalo Parker. He's just.
Well, it's funny that, and I was talking to you earlier about this, that when we touched on it earlier in the solo of, because I knew there was going to be like a reveal of somebody, and I was thinking it was going to be the Hutt, and it was funny because we pinpointed that there was going to be somebody behind the somebody who was already the kind of head of something, and the foreshadowing was pretty sweet in the subtlety, because they were talking about pretty early on how freaking Benny's character.
Woody?
Lord. Not Woody. Crime Lord.
Voss? Dryden Voss?
Yep, Dryden Voss was basically working. He's got a boss as well, and he's working under the guise of this syndicate called the Crimson Dawn.
And so who is his boss? Who's Dryden Voss?
Crimson Dawn is Maul.
Ah.
And that's his syndicate. Which...
Where does that give him time?
Oh, snap.
Dude, when did that give him time? Dude, I can't tell where the time period is, because if we follow Maul after, because he had his robot legs, so he got chopped in half. We see him again in Clone Wars. The first time we see him in Clone Wars, he lost his mind, right?
So do you see his robot legs in this movie?
Yes. Okay. So, and this is what I'm getting to. So in Clone Wars, we see him at first. He has his crazy spider legs. He lost his mind. He gets the mechanical legs, the better legs, and he's like taking over Mandalore and the whole pre-Vizsla. That's what it looked like.
Okay.
Like that looked the era of Maul.
Well,
it was
so
like, that would have had to been the time. So
okay, wait, hold on. So okay, hold on. So, but no, that couldn't be. You know why?
Oh no,
it can't be because during that the Vizsla stuff, that's actually all
that's
before Revenge of the
Clone
Sith.
Wars. Yeah.
So this is something. So this it's really weird. This is Darth Maul is elusive because you see him pop up in all these random spots. We see. I mean, the last time we saw him, like he pops up. It's like he's been on this Sith planet, underground for like forever. He's like this old withered old man.
That's where they're going to, because he's like, come to Dathomir. You will be working with me very
But it's not Dathomir when they find him in Rebels, though. I'm talking about is the last time you see him in Rebels.
Sith temple.
Well, and obviously he's been healthier with his mind for long enough to actually start up a syndicate and be the lead, unless he just plowed himself into some, the Force and his Sith.
Now that I realize this is after Clone Wars, so this is already after he took over Mandalore and then lost it, and then this is after.
So where does
Rebels after? Okay, so this is technically after we see Sidious kick Savage and Maul's butt. Remember, because that's in Clone Wars. That's the last time you see him, and then the next time you see Maul is in Rebels, going to that Sith temple.
Well, there's actually a comic that continues from the day after that experience. You see Sidious take him, and because remember at the end of that Rebels episode, he's like, "I still have use for you, so I'm gonna take you." Blah, blah, blah. So they show you where they take him. He takes him to this like place, and he has him imprisoned, and then Mandalorians actually break him out. And so he's fighting alongside Death Watch and Mandalorians and everything, and that whole comic is actually really cool. It's a darn shame that wasn't a freaking Clone Wars episode story arc, because it is awesome. It's because gnarly. They break him out because Sidious has to take off and do his thing and do his so
that's what must
Palpatine
his
thing. But
crime
it's
syndicate
so
must
good.
Be. It must be the mixture of the Death Watch, him taking over Mandalore. Yeah, it's like, dude, Maul's been all over the place. Holy cow!
It's
wild to see him there. It's so wild to see that, like, dude, this is one of the first big characters we've seen come from the TV series onto the screen.
Well, and so many people have been, talking about this, how it's literally all the diehard fans have been speculating, saying we'll never see Maul in a movie again because all the casual fans think Maul's dead because at the end of they just think he's dead. They don't know because they don't watch Clone Wars, and so it's like they wanted to keep them that separate. But for them to show Maul in this movie, that is groundbreaking and way fun. It's really exciting to me. I'm blown away by that.
The way they left it, though, we will see him again in a movie. Like they left it so that we won't. You don't think so? They left it so it's totally like we won't see Solo #2, but.
We'll see Boba Fett.
So you think
he's a bounty hunter in the Syndicate underworld life, and sure enough, dude.
Yeah.
Dang. Dude, if they want to serve us right, man, make a freaking Maul movie. That would or like either have him have a larger part in this Boba Fett movie. So that leads us to the very next thing that I was going to talk about, you guys. So the Boba Fett movie.
Oh my god.
So guess who's directing? The guy who did
James Mangold.
The same guy who did Logan.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you seen Logan?
Yeah, and I don't want a Logan Star Wars.
No, I'm.
I know.
What I'm saying is he's a competent director. I mean, that movie.
That was great. That was a great movie. Yeah.
That movie did. Forgive me if I'm wrong. You guys did it.
It was a great movie.
It was nominated for something, but anyway.
Who's gonna be Boba?
I don't know yet.
I want young Boba from freaking Clone Wars. He looks good. They took a picture of him cosplayed, and he looks on point.
They better get him.
I wonder if we're gonna see. I wonder if we're gonna see Lando and Han in the Boba Fett
show
movie.
Up in that,
because the way they talk about it, he's like, "Hey, we gotta go to Tatooine. A big gangster is putting together a team." That's the end of the movie.
So and then they were initially, and I said this a million times, but I'll say it one more time. They were supposed to have like a Boba Fett and Han Solo scene exchange in this movie, where it was supposed to be you see Han's perspective of this same scene, and then the Boba Fett movie, it was supposed to be, they were showing Boba Fett and you see that same scene. Of course, that's not happening, now anymore.
It's okay.
Which is fine. It is what it is. But I'm just curious. I would love to see more Darth Maul in this thing. But yeah, it's a crazy thing how Darth Maul could show up in this Boba Fett movie, but knowing James Mangold, I mean, hopefully he will.
He has to. Dude, the way they left it off, like...
You think so?
We will see him again in another movie. There's no way.
I would love it. I would love it if it took place like right after this movie, so that you could watch these in sequence. And
they were coming from two different perspectives in the same timeline.
And even if it shows Darth Maul get off the line. Anyway, thanks again for joining us, you guys. We really appreciate it here at Blasterpiece Theater and the Fanatics of Film. We're so grateful to have all of you here with us. And talking about Star Wars. We do enjoy it, and hopefully you're having a great day.
If the channel gets 1,000 subscribers, Ben will go see it.
That's a good call.
I think it's unrealistic.
But just know that this movie sucked.
So I know it sounds like it's actually probably incredibly difficult to compare them. Is it better or worse than The Last Jedi?
That's not difficult at all.
Really?
It was better.
Yeah,
it was better.
Good. That's cool. That's interesting. That's actually really good to know, and congrats to Ron Howard for making something pretty cool. It sounds like it was pretty good. Thanks again for watching the Fanatics of Film, and this is Blasterpiece Theater.